Hi, I'm Kathleen Panning, and I've been pondering something lately, the last couple of days, and it's really had me thinking. You know, part of my story is that on a Friday, in the middle of June, the new senior pastor, he'd been there about 9 months, asked me to come to his office in the middle of the afternoon, and he said he was giving me a choice: either resign or be fired. That was a devastating choice. And in thinking about that over the months and years since then, I've learned a lot about what went on and why that happened. But it wasn't until just a couple of days ago that I had learned and understood something a little bit deeper in all of this. You see, what I had been thinking before was that um, this was all because, well, that I really didn't understand and hadn't been taught how to be a good leader. And that, secondly, I wasn't in a position that was really using my best gifts. And while both of those things were true, um, there's something deeper that was going on. And you see, the deeper part is that I really put myself so far down the bottom of the list that I didn't value myself. Yes, I put God first. Yes, I put the members of the congregation first. Yes, I put my family ahead of me. And there wasn't really anything left then for me, of me, to be of value. And the truth is that not valuing myself meant that why in the world should anybody else value what I was doing or who I was being? I mean, in the months prior to when this happened, I had been doing virtually every single funeral at this very large congregation, especially for, and I think the only ones that were happening at that time were mainly shut-ins and people who were part of our, as I would call it, the television congregation. The congregation televised one of its services every week in the local community, and there were a lot of people who watched and felt that this was their congregation. And even though they were not officially on the membership rolls, and when those people passed away, family wanted one of the pastors of the congregation to do the funeral. And I had been doing these funerals since the beginning of that year. And this was not just one or two funerals. This was about a funeral every other week. And by the time it got to May, that was mid-May or so, that had accounted for quite a lot of funerals. But I wasn't really, yes, I could do a good job with that. Yes, I was doing a good job with some other things in my work and everything. But when it came to advocating for myself, when it came to valuing myself in the relationship with the congregation and with the rest of the staff, and advocating for who I was and what I was doing, I wasn't there because I considered everything else more important than me. And this is not about being, standing up and being, look at me, I'm such a great person. No, it's not that. It's about valuing who God created me to be and what I was doing and being a strong advocate for that. And if I couldn't do that, how could I be a good leader? How could anybody else really appreciate what I was doing and who I was and who I am? And so I see a lot of my fellow faith leaders, and if you're a faith leader watching this, think about this. Where do you put yourself in all of these things? God first? Yes. Your ministry? Your family? How much do you care about you? How much do you think of God caring about you and advocating for who you are and what you do? And I just want you to really think about who you are being and where you are in the hierarchy of who's important. I was taught that, I needed to be a servant. Okay. But being a servant in ministry doesn't mean we don't count. And yet that's what I was thinking of for myself. That I couldn't say much. Um, that wasn't my place, so to speak. And so I lost my place in that congregation. Yeah, I had to learn the hard way. And I really don't want you folks having to learn the hard way too. And I see all of this happening amongst many of my fellow clergy of all faiths. And it's like, you know, I'm putting this out here just to invite you to share your story with me. Not for any other reason, but to invite you to share your story, to think about what you're doing and where you are in the midst of all of this. Where are you in your ministry? What happens to you as a person? Do you value yourself? Do you ask your members to value you? Do you expect the leadership in your congregation to value you? And how do you present that? How do you talk about that? And I'm just looking for conversations. So I would love to have you connect with me, share your story with me, your struggles, your pains. That's all I'm asking. So there, you can send me a message here. That would be great. And I just look forward to connecting with more of you. See who you are. Maybe we can share some stories together and find a better way. So until then, God's blessings to you. You know, you are a person of value. Your ministry is a value, yes, but you as a human being are of value too. So I'd love to share a story with you. So God's peace and God's love to each and every one of you.